What if the man everyone believed was gone forever suddenly walked back into the lives of those who loved him most? Imagine the shock, the disbelief, and the flood of emotions as Ty Borden makes his grand return to Heartland. For years, fans carried the pain of his absence, and the Bartlett-Fleming family struggled to move forward without him. But in Season 19, Episode 1, the impossible becomes reality. The story opens not with celebration, but with a storm of emotions, grief, hope, and the kind of reunion that feels almost too good to be true. Before diving into the powerful moment of Ty's return, we need to understand the emotional weight behind it. Heartland has always been more than just a show about horses and ranch life. It has been a journey of family, healing, and love. Ty Borden was at the center of that journey for so many years. From the moment he first arrived at Heartland as a troubled teenager with a difficult past, he quickly grew into a man who not only found his place, but also became the heart of the Bartlett-Fleming family. His relationship with Amy was built slowly, carefully, and with so much tenderness that fans across the world felt invested in their love story as if it were their own. Together, they became the soul of the series, raising their daughter Lyndy and facing life's struggles as partners. But then came the heartbreak. Ty's departure left a wound that no one believed could ever heal. The way the story wrote him out carried so much finality that fans accepted, with tears and broken hearts, that this chapter was over. Amy was left to raise Lyndy on her own, and the family had to keep moving forward while carrying the heavy absence of someone who had shaped all their lives. For seasons, we watched Amy fight her pain, rediscover her strength, and find new ways to keep Ty's memory alive. The entire family leaned on each other, but something was always missing. The ranch never felt quite the same without Ty's quiet strength and calming presence. That's what makes Season 19, Episode 1 such a powerful shock. The episode doesn't waste time. From the very start, it reminds viewers of the long journey without Ty, replaying in our hearts every tear Amy shed, every moment Jack tried to stay strong for the family, and every step Lyndy took without her father by her side. The first act of the episode is heavy with remembrance, setting the stage for something extraordinary. It builds the weight of loss so that when Ty finally reappears, the emotional impact is nothing short of earth-shattering. This episode is not just about bringing a beloved character back. It is about showing what his absence meant and how his return could change everything. It's about testing the limits of hope and asking one of the most powerful questions: can love really bring someone back, even when all odds are against it? As the episode unfolds, the family doesn't just face Ty's return, they face the weight of all those years without him. And for the audience, it's not just about watching a character re-enter the show. It's about reliving the journey of grief, remembering the heartbreak, and finally experiencing the release of joy. Ty's return is not presented as a simple twist. It is carefully built on the foundation of years of storytelling, years of pain, and years of what felt like closure. That's why the first section of this breakdown focuses so deeply on the context, because only by remembering the heartbreak can we fully understand the miracle of his return. Season 19, Episode 1 reminds us that Heartland has always been about resilience. It has always told us that no matter how hard life gets, no matter how painful the loss, there is always hope. And now, hope has finally taken form in the return of Ty Borden. The moment that changes everything in Season 19, Episode 1 comes quietly at first, almost like a whisper. It doesn't arrive with fireworks or dramatic music, but instead creeps in, slowly, with the kind of weight that makes the heart pound harder with every passing second. For years, Ty's presence had lived only in memories, in the stories Amy told Lyndy, and in the silent spaces of the ranch where his touch once lingered. But when the door finally opens and his figure stands framed in the light, the entire world of Heartland shifts. At first, it doesn't even feel real, like a dream. The characters themselves are afraid to wake from. Amy is the first to see him, and her face tells the story of every fan watching. Her breath catches, her body freezes, and for a split second, her mind refuses to accept what her eyes are telling her. The love of her life, the man she believed she lost forever, is standing there. He doesn't speak immediately because no words are strong enough to break through the shock. Instead, his eyes carry the weight of 1,000 unspoken apologies, promises, and memories. This is not just Ty returning, it is the reunion of two souls that were never meant to be apart. The family's reaction is layered and complex. Jack, who had carried the burden of being strong for everyone else, suddenly falters. His stoic face cracks, and for the first time in years, tears fall not from grief but from an overwhelming mixture of relief and disbelief. Lou, always the realist, is torn between rushing forward and holding herself back, trying to make sense of something her mind cannot explain. And little Lyndy, who had grown up with stories of her father, but only fragments of memory, stares at him with wide eyes, sensing the truth in her heart before anyone can confirm it. It is as though every member of the family is standing into places at once, got between the reality they lived without him and the miracle standing before them now. The beauty of Ty's return lies not just in the shock value, but in the emotional build-up the show has carefully crafted. The writers don't let the reunion happen too easily. Instead, they stretch out the silence, letting the audience sit in that uncomfortable, troubling space between joy and fear. Will Amy collapse in his arms? Will Jack question if this is truly real? Will someone accuse him of being an illusion, a dream conjured by grief? These questions swirl not only in the minds of the characters, but in the minds of every viewer who has waited for this moment. When Ty finally does speak, his voice is softer, gentler, but filled with the kind of conviction that only comes from someone who has endured a long and painful journey. He doesn't dive into explanations or stories of where he's been. Instead, he chooses something simple, almost ordinary words that might not seem grand but carry the weight of an entire universe. This choice grounds the moment, reminding us that Heartland has always been about authenticity, about family, and about the power of the smallest gestures to change everything. His words, his expression, his very presence reassure everyone in that room and everyone watching that this is not a fleeting dream. He is home. The episode uses this moment to play with memory and reality. The audience is invited to recall. Every time Amy looked to the horizon as though searching for Ty, every time Jack reminded her to keep moving forward, and every time Lyndy asked questions no one could fully answer. All of those moments pour into this reunion like a flood, and suddenly, years of pain find their release. It is not neat, it is not tidy, and it is certainly not simple. But it is real, and it is raw, and it reminds the audience why they fell in love with this show in the first place. The return of Ty Borden is not written as an afterthought or a simple trick. It is a deliberate, careful, and deeply emotional moment that pulls at the very heartstrings of the audience. It forces us to question not just how he came back, but what it means for everyone he left behind. For Amy, it opens wounds she thought had healed and offers a love she thought was gone. For Jack, it is a reminder that miracles can happen even when logic says otherwise. For Lyndy, it is the first true chance to know her father beyond the memories of others. And for the viewers, it is a reward for years of loyalty, patience, and love for a character who became more than just a fictional presence. He became family. Ty's reappearance transforms episode 1 into something more than a premiere. It becomes a story about second chances, about the resilience of love, and about the idea that some bonds cannot be broken by distance, time, or even death. The way the episode frames his return makes it clear that this is not just fan service. It is the fulfillment of a promise that Heartland has always carried, that love and family will find a way, no matter the obstacles. By the time the scene settles, the audience realizes they are not simply watching a character walk back into the story, they are witnessing the resurrection of hope itself. For Amy, Ty's return is not just a moment of joy, it is a tidal wave of emotions that crash against every wall she has built to survive without him. Over the years, she has carried the unbearable weight of losing the man she thought she would grow old with. She learned to smile again for Lyndy, to work with the horses, and to keep Heartland alive. But every step she took without Ty was like walking with half her soul missing. When he stands before her in Season 19, Episode 1, her heart does not know whether to leap with happiness or to shield itself from the possibility of disappointment. Her eyes lock onto him, searching, questioning, almost begging for proof that this is real. Amy's first instinct is disbelief. Her hands tremble, her lips part, but no words come out. For years, she has practiced being strong, convincing herself she could carry on without him. Now that he's back, her walls begin to crumble. The show lingers on her hesitation, allowing the audience to feel the intensity of that inner battle. Should she run into his arms? Should she demand answers? Should she let herself believe that love can conquer the impossible? Her silence speaks louder than any words could, because in that silence lives all the years of heartbreak, all the questions that will never be answered, and all the hope she never dared to hold on to. When Amy finally moves, it is not dramatic, it is painfully human. A single step forward, a shaky breath, and a look that carries the weight of 1,000 memories. Her reunion with Ty is not about grand gestures, but about authenticity. Her tears are not just for joy, but for grief, for anger, and for every moment she spent alone raising their daughter. This is where the writing of the episode shines. It doesn't erase Amy's suffering with one magical return. Instead, it shows us that grief leaves scars, and even when the person we lost is somehow returned, those scars do not disappear. They become part of the reunion, making it richer, more complex, and more powerful. What makes Amy's emotional journey stand out in this episode is how deeply it reflects the resilience of her character. She is not the same young woman who first fell in love with Ty. She is a mother, a widow in her heart, and a fighter who has endured more than her share of loss. Seeing Ty again forces her to reconcile these two versions of herself: the girl who dreamed of forever with him, and the woman who learned to survive without him. That reconciliation is painful because it means admitting just how much she lost and just how much she still loves him. As the episode unfolds, Amy's emotions begin to shift. At first, disbelief dominates her. Then comes anger that he left, anger that she had to suffer, anger that she had to watch Lyndy grow without her father. It is raw and unfiltered, and it makes the reunion more than just a joyful scene. It makes it real, but alongside that anger is relief so powerful it nearly breaks her. For the first time in years, she feels whole. For the first time in years, she sees the life she thought was gone forever reflected in Ty's eyes. This push and pull between anger and relief, between love and pain, creates a storm inside her that will shape her journey for the rest of the season. Amy's love for Ty has always been the emotional heart of Heartland, and in Season 19, Episode 1, that love is tested in ways we never expected. She is forced to ask herself whether she can trust in this miracle, whether she can let go of the fear that he might disappear again, and whether she can open her heart fully after so much loss. These questions don't have easy answers, but that is exactly what makes her journey so compelling. She does not simply collapse into his arms and forget the years of pain. She acknowledges them, she carries them, and she chooses to love him. Anyway, by the end of this section of the episode, Amy's emotions settle not into clarity, but into acceptance. She accepts that Ty is here, that he is real, and that their story is not over. Her tears become softer, her voice steadier, and her love undeniable. This is the moment the audience realizes that Amy's journey is not just about surviving grief, it is about rediscovering the strength of love. It is about learning that even the deepest pain cannot erase the bond she shares with Ty. And for the fans who have waited years to see this, Amy's emotional journey becomes not only her own healing but ours as well, when Ty steps fully into the warmth of Heartland's home. The reunion expands beyond Amy, The Bartlett-Fleming family has lived through their own waves of grief and change, and each of them reacts to Ty's return with a mixture of disbelief, relief, and raw emotion that feels almost too overwhelming to bear. This is not just one man walking back into a family. It is the return of a son, a brother, a father, and a friend who shaped the very heartbeat of their lives. What makes the reunion so powerful is how differently each family member responds, because their pain, like their love for Ty, has been carried in unique ways. Jack is the anchor of the family, the steady presence who always carries the weight when others cannot. But in this moment, the anchor trembles. For years, he told himself to stay strong, to keep the ranch running, and to guide Amy and Lyndy through their grief. He never showed the full depth of his pain because he believed it was his role to protect everyone else from collapsing. But when Ty appears in front of him, the facade breaks. Jack's stares are not quiet or restrained. They are powerful, unstoppable, like a dam bursting after years of holding back. He does not see Ty as a grown man returning. He sees the young boy who once arrived at Heartland, lost and searching for a home. He sees the boy he mentored, the man he watched fall in love with his granddaughter, the father who was supposed to raise Lyndy. In that moment, Jack's reunion with Ty is not just about relief. It is about release. All the pain, all the anger, all the guilt of not being able to protect his family from loss dissolves into the raw joy of having Ty back. Lou, on the other hand, processes the return differently. She has always been the practical one, the voice of reason who balances her emotions with logic. For Lou, Ty's absence forced her to step into roles she never wanted, but knew she had to embrace, comforting Amy, guiding Lyndy, and keeping the family tied together. When she sees Ty, her first reaction is not immediate joy but hesitation. She struggles to reconcile what she sees with what she knows. How can this be real? How can someone return after being gone for so long? Her skepticism is not cruelty, it is protection. She fears what it would mean if this moment were to shatter, if Ty's presence were somehow temporary or fragile. But beneath her logical doubts is love. Lou may question the how and why, but the way her arms eventually reach for Ty shows that the heart always wins over the mind. And then there is Lyndy, the quiet but powerful center of this reunion. For her, Ty has always been more of a story than a memory. She knows him through photographs, through Amy's bedtime tales, through Jack's gentle stories of the past. When she looks at him, there is a flicker of recognition, as though her soul knows what her memory cannot fully recall. The moment she whispers, "Dad," the entire reunion changes. It is no longer just about a man returning to his family. It is about a child finally reclaiming the piece of her heart she never knew was missing. Lyndy's innocence strips away all the fear and doubt. Where the adults hesitate, question, or collapse under the weight of emotion, Lyndy accepts instantly. Her embrace is pure, and her joy is unshaken. In her eyes, there is no confusion, only the truth that love has finally brought her father back. The reunion scene also reflects the quiet strength of the extended family. Lisa, always the voice of quiet wisdom, sees the return not as something to question but as something to cherish. She knows better than anyone that life is unpredictable, that loss and love come hand in hand, and that miracles sometimes arrive when they are least expected. Her calm acceptance helps ground the others, reminding them that they don't need to understand everything in order to be grateful for it. The ranch itself almost feels alive in this reunion. The walls, the fields, the horses, all of it seems to breathe differently with Ty back among them, as though Heartland itself was incomplete without him. What makes this family reunion so moving is not just the love they share, but the honesty of their reactions. Not everyone greets Ty with immediate celebration. Some hesitate, some break down, and some rush forward without a second thought. This mix of emotions mirrors real life, reminding the audience that love is messy, that reunions are complicated, and that healing is never straightforward. Yet beneath the differences, there is unity. Every member of the Bartlett-Fleming family feels the same truth in their hearts. their family is whole again. By the end of this reunion, the family gathers not in silence, but in shared tears and laughter. They do not have answers. They do not have explanations, but they have each other. And for a family that has endured so much, that is enough. The reunion does not erase the years of pain, but it transforms them, weaving them into a new story, one where loss and love coexist, and where the bonds of family prove stronger than anything else. For viewers, this moment is not just emotional, it is cathartic. It is the payoff for years of heartbreak, a reminder that even in the darkest chapters, hope can find its way back home.